Hi there, welcome to this video presentation on staffing. Staffing an organization for success. In application of this topic from our organizational design class, we were tasked with interviewing a local leader in music, a band teacher or orchestra conductor, to learn how they select the right people or students to make the kind of music they want to make. The goal of the interviews was to discover how staffing plays a role in building a band that can produce the kind of sound these musicians were hoping for, and how the principles they applied to building their team might be applicable in a church or ministry-related context. Some of the questions we asked were related to their musical goals and how they lead their staff or team to achieve these goals. We asked about how they maximize their team's strengths and also how they strive to minimize team weaknesses. We wanted to know how they encourage their teams, what standards they set to help protect goal achievement, and how they navigate the hard conversations with members who aren't effectively contributing to the goal. So we reached out, conducting 7 different interviews with local leaders in musical spaces from which we will unpack our key insights and help you to see the vital role staff selection plays in building a successful organization.
All right, everyone. Today, I want to share some of the lessons that we've learned about staffing and organization for success. For our project, our team interviewed band directors, conductors, and different worship leaders from across the country. And at first, it might sound unrelated, but when you think about it, a band or a choir is really just a large team. And the way these leaders build their ensembles has some powerful lessons for how we can build healthy and effective teams in churches and ministries. In our research, we really came across 4 main takeaways from these band directors. Number one is that character and commitment matter just as much as skill. Every one of our leaders agreed that skill is important. You can't have a good team without qualified people, but character and commitment are equally as important. The most talented singer or instrumentalist can actually hurt the group if they lack humility or show up unprepared or even distract from the overall goal. One worship leader told us that their ministry's purpose was to enhance worship in the most beautiful way possible without ever interrupting it. That means the little things matter, like sound balance, microphone handling, clear enunciation. If somebody treats the microphone like a stage for performance instead of a tool to lead worship, it can actually distract the congregation from the goal that the team has. So our lesson is clear here that when staffing a team, we don't want to just look at talent or the skills or whatever people bring to the table. We want to look at attitude, reliability, and the willingness to serve the mission. Point number 2 in our findings is that you want to build the team around strengths. Great directors don't try to force everybody into the same mold. Instead, they look for the unique strengths of each person to build the team around them. For example, one worship leader described their choir as a patchwork quilt, where everybody brings in something different. We have a strong solo artist or a really good instrumentalist. Everybody brings what they have to the table so we can accomplish a common goal. Each role may seem small on its own, but together it creates something beautiful. The principle here is that effective staffing is about recognizing gifts and placing people where they can shine, even if the role looks different from somebody else's. Point number 3 is that we protect the culture even over the talent. Many leaders say that while they rarely remove people for a lack of skill, they will step in when someone's conduct hurts the culture. One director gave the example of people who treated the microphone like a performance or a spotlight, or instrumentalists that kept turning themselves up over and over because they wanted to be heard. Well, what they're doing wasn't necessarily wrong, but it was hurting the team. And so instead of letting it slide, the director stepped in and either reduced their schedule or added extra rehearsals to align them with the true goal of the ministry again. In some rare cases, leaders did stop scheduling people or did kick people out of the team altogether. But more times than not, the directors would step in and try to work with the people on the team to bring them back to order so they can accomplish the common goal. Our fourth and final point was that you can minimize weakness with coaching and support. Every team has weakness, and good leaders know how to manage them. One example we found was that one of our creative directors was trying to balance the singers. And so if someone's a little pitchy and their microphone gets turned down just slightly so they'll still blend together. Another strategy was that one of the directors would send out the rehearsal recordings during the week so the singers can practice rhythms and the timing on their own. Even simple things like giving head cues or mouthing the lyrics during a song can keep the group together. These adjustments show us that staffing for success is not about perfection. It's about supporting people, creating systems that help them succeed, and keeping the focus on the bigger goal. These four principles don't just create great music, but they build strong and effective teams in any ministry and organization.
So what does this mean for the church or for organizational design more broadly? First, staffing is not just about filling positions. It is about building a culture. When people buy into the mission, align themselves with the values, and trust their leaders, the organization thrives. When the wrong people are in the wrong roles, or worse, when the wrong people are shaping the culture, the mission suffers. Second, finding the right people is not only about finding the most talented individuals. Talent matters, but so do attitude and commitment. In a church context, this looks like raising up people who may not have every skill yet, but who have a teachable spirit, a humble posture, and a willingness to serve. Skill can be developed, but character and calling are non-negotiable. Third, good staffing requires discernment. Leaders must be able to recognize both strengths and weaknesses, and then structure the team in such a way that people's strengths are maximized and their weaknesses are supported. This is what Paul described in 1 Corinthians 12 when he said that the church is like a body made up of many parts. Each part is different, each part is necessary, and the whole body only works when every member is operating in their place. In conclusion, what our research confirmed is this: proper staffing is the backbone of any successful organization. Whether it is a marching band preparing for competition, a worship team leading on Sunday, or a church carrying out the Great Commission, the people on the team will make or break whether the mission is accomplished. For organizations to succeed, they must find the right people, place them in the right roles, and then empower them to operate in their strengths. At the same time, leaders must cultivate a culture of encouragement, accountability, and mission alignment. The Great Commission calls the church to go and make disciples. That is a mission too big for any one person to accomplish alone. It requires a team. It requires staffing. And it requires leaders who know how to equip, encourage, and empower God's people to step into their roles. Our interviews may have been with musicians, but the principle is universal. Success depends on the team, and the team depends on the leader's ability to staff well. When staffing is done with wisdom and intentionality, the result is not just good music, but mission accomplished.